Hello, and thank you for joining the midweek edition of Journalistic Hangout. I'm Ayodele Uzubakun. It's about 16 days to the conduct of the 2023 general election. So how ready are you to participate in the elections? Today on the program, Supreme Court temporarily stops withdrawal of old naira notes as TUC accuses marketers of changing pump price of petrol with impunity. Gives federal government 7 days to solve naira fuel and scarcity. And later on the show, Governor Nasir El-Rufai pleads with Kaduna residents not to join protests over naira scarcity, insists that fifth columnists are behind the crisis to scuttle APC's chances in the 2023 elections as banks shut branches over worsening naira scarcity nationwide. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Dotun Oladipo. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. There is raging fire on the mountain in Nigeria regarding scarcity of naira notes. Barely 2 days to the February 10 deadline set by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, for naira swap, the Supreme Court has temporarily stopped withdrawal of old notes from circulation. A 7-member panel of the Apex Court, led by Justice John Okoro, stopped the move after ruling on an ex parte application brought by Kaduna, Kogi, and Zamfara states. Meanwhile, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, has blamed the lingering fuel scarcity in the country on independent marketers who keep changing the pump price of petrol with impunity. The union said fuel marketers are now bold to change pump price of petrol to as high as 400 and 500 naira per liter with impunity. Jide, let's start from the Supreme Court. This is like a respite, and this is like a vindication to whatever we've been agitating for in the last 1 week.
Yes, the Supreme Court is the last hope of the common man. And we have been saying repeatedly here that it is the common man that is bearing the brunt of this policy. No one is saying the policy is bad or that it shouldn't have been instituted, but everything is wrong about the implementation, about the time scale. For me, it is the time scale that is the biggest problem. It is that time scale that people are exploiting. They know that Nigerians are desperate. They know that Nigerians are terrified about the possibility of losing their hard-earned money. So people are exploiting the loopholes in the system to make themselves richer at the expense of everybody. So ideally, if the CBN governor were not someone who appears to be happy at the suffering of people, he should not have come up with this kind of unrealistic timescale. Because in other parts of the world, they are going to give them like 1 year. During this period, the old notes come into the banking system and stays there, after which they will be incinerated. But in our own case, you can't even explain the indecent haste. And that is why it's easy for people to say, oh, this thing is politically motivated. You know, I was reading the YPP presidential candidate. They said, no, this is politically motivated. And when you are talking about the economy, it's one of the people that I like to read about his opinion. He said, no, this one is politically motivated. People can't explain why this is going on. You created a situation whereby Nigerians rush to put their money in the banks. The same people put their money in the banks, they can't take back their money. Some will be subjected to the humiliation of taking just 2,000 naira.
You're now passing the buck to the banks.
A colleague of ours, Theophilus Elama, was given just 1,000 naira across the counter. This is not fiction, Ayo. This is reality. The people, what is he going to do? He has a car to fill the tank. Fuel scarcity has driven up the prices. Fuel
POS
prices.
operators are collaborating, conniving with.
What is he going to do with 1,000? Let's even look
into the bank.
1,000. Oh, if I must get into the bank just to take 1,000, what am I going to do with it?
People did not even get in at all to even collect 500 naira.
That is the pain. That boy that we showed this video, who said he held his money, 350,000. He said on 3 occasions I wanted to get into the bank, I couldn't. You see, there are some people here, including journalists, who have not come out of southern Nigeria. They don't know what it looks like to go to the north.
They don't.
Those ones too, who all they can do is just open their mouths wide and talk. They have not done any piece of investigative work in their lives. They call themselves journalists. You don't know what happens in another corner of our country. Today, there is so much tension in the armed forces, especially our troops serving in the northeast. Yeah. Once you drive out of Maiduguri, 20 kilometers outside of Maiduguri, your phone the network will disappear. You've been there before, we've been there together. You cannot make use of your phone. I have a friend of mine who, whenever he goes to Monguno, Borno North, I can't reach him. Now we have soldiers that we are put in those places. In such places where we do not have any form of broadband presence, how do you even transfer money? How do you receive money via your phone when the base stations have been destroyed by Boko Haram?
And if you have cash, how do you access the
how
bank?
How do you even get to receive cash?
Those who are at the border have stopped collecting.
Those who are in the city center, they can't even access cash. Now you are talking about people in the bush. In those places, what people can use is their bank notes. I mean, their naira notes. But Emefiele is trying to make holding cash a crime. There's nowhere in the world where it's a crime to use your currency. There's nowhere in the world. Now, you got Nigerians to deposit 2.7 trillion into the banking system. You were only able to print 400 billion. The total money in circulation before this whole exercise was 3.3 trillion. What are you going to do about the leftover?
How long will it
So
take you?
those who think that it is simply that the banks are hoarding money, it's because they don't have information. They said, the truth shall set free. This is the truth. I'm saying that if we are a country where there is transparency, the CBN governor should be briefing Nigerians every week to say, this is how much we have printed. This is how much we are put in the bank vaults for them to distribute to Nigerians. But he knows in his heart of hearts, that they do not even have enough to distribute to Nigerians. And when you don't have enough, there will be a lot of sharp practices and all that. It's just like when there's fuel scarcity.
Yes.
If there is fuel scarcity, that's when you see hoarding. That's when you see price will go up. When everybody has fuel, you have no reason to hoard.
Now we've created parallel market for the naira, not dollar now. Now we have come and change for 50, transfer 60,000 naira.
You know when this thing initially happened, I have a friend, classmate, who works in the bank. And I said, just like BKO said, those of us who are in the south, who stay primarily in the south, we don't know that the kind of problem that is going on up north is worse than what is happening here. And that's why when some governors came out and started saying they have banks only in the capital. One state governor said he has only 2 bank branches in his capital. So how do the others who are not banked at all? Then that person came up with an argument that they have all these POS people, And I said, can you draw the figures, the statistics? And then she went somewhere and brought this. And you can see, I'm sorry those who are home can see it. the place where you have thick presence of these POS, these agents, they're in the southwest.
Yes.
Look at how up north.
They are very scanty.
Scanty. Where you have far less than 10% penetration. How do you do it?
And the greater population is in those places.
It's in those places because and it's wide. So how do you do it? And one of the things I've always said here is this. Let's even assume that we want to go cashless. Do we have the infrastructure that can cope with it? Because we believe that.
We put that to test now. We saw the result.
I've even said it. I've reported to GT Bank more than 5 times in the last 1 month. Failed transaction. They barred me from reporting more because you can only do 5 in a month. And these things keep failing. They keep taking money. So how do you explain that? You've bought fuel. The man is saying, bring your card because you are filling your tank. Not that he has done it before you and then the thing keeps failing. What do you do at that point? We only get. I watched a video. One of the Asian countries, a lady about 21 said she had not seen cash in almost 3 years of her own country. The cash, because anywhere they get, it's just your phone, and it's gone, everywhere, bus, wherever. And then someone who was doing the video, a documentary, now took one and asked her if she could recognize it. She didn't know it was her country's currency because she had not seen it in 3 years. But we have those kind of infrastructure here, and we've been telling ourselves, in terms of IT, we have some of the best brains. But where are they? Even those who are running the bank, they are out of the country.
It's most lucrative.
So what do we do?
Our Apex Bank has been so being politicized to the extent that right now, the functions of the normal banks, you see people, civil society masquerading as human rights activists, television presenters, you see journalists, even advocating for this policy. You go on social media and they will say, on the 10th of February, we stand. Whose interests? Journalists.
And they can see people suffering.
And people are, you say, no,
are those ones
I stand with the Emefiele, I stand with Mr. President on this. And you see what people are going through.
It is not the hood that makes the monk. It's not everybody who has biabia that is an alpha.
Or that is even advanced in age.
You know? So this is the thing. What even is the definition of journalism? I say people who have not done one story. They've not added a single story to the body of journalistic knowledge. And they will claim they are journalists. So they've not done a single investigative work. They've not added a line to solving a riddle, a journalistic riddle. They've not made any journalistic breakthrough in their lives. They've not risked their lives to get a story. But everybody is a journalist now. And that is why you listen to people, you even wonder, where did this person train? They are not current. They do not even apply their wisdom in the right way, because education also helps you. If you have even a little wisdom, education helps you to apply that wisdom in the right way. I've seen people, including journalists, saying that Mr. President should use executive order. Mr. President who issued executive order the other day, and the Supreme Court, after governor sued him, the Supreme Court declared that the executive order was illegal. Any journalist worth his salt who is current should have known that Mr. President tried to use executive order and was stopped in his tracks by the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, after governors took him to court. So, if you do not even have knowledge, how do you inform our people?
Claiming the policy is targeted at, curbing vote buying and everything, but meanwhile you see people every day.
Okay. Let me further shock the ignorant. Let me further shock them. In spite of paucity of naira across the country, parties are doing political rallies and they are filling arenas. Did you see Kogi today? How did they mobilize people? You think parties can fill arena without spending money? Huh? You think they can fill arenas without spending money?
To mobilize people, yeah.
You must mobilize people to those places. How are they able to do it?
Have they been doing online transfer? To hold everybody.
Ali Ndume, one of the most honest politicians around. I'm not patronizing him. I'm not patronizing him. He said, look, if I need money, they will bring it to me. But it is the poor people who are suffering. How do people reason? How do people reason? For God's sake, sometimes I just wonder what's going on in our country. You see,
you are suffering.
You are imagining. Listen to me.
You don't even have 500,000 in the account.
You are imagining that big politicians, presidential candidates, the like of Tinubu, Atiku, Peter Obi,
Kwankwaso, they
will be looking for money to do
looking for cash.
Are you whining me? They will be looking for this kind of people. Some of them have banks. Some of them have banks.
The shareholders.
I say some of them have banks.
Not shareholders.
Not shareholders. I say some have banks amongst them. So they will be looking for money. What is the job of the bank MD if he cannot find the money for them? Do these people even know what we are talking about? Even vote buying is not what you do on one day. It's no longer on election day. Thank God for Yaga Africa. They told us that weeks to the Osun election, vote buying had begun.
Yeah.
You think it's money alone that they use to buy votes? All those women that they give them 6 yards of cotton, right. Is it money? They call it rapper. They call them rapper. They just give them 6 yards. You bought their conscience already without giving them naira.
Buy salary for them.
Some rice, some have been collecting rice as I speak to you. In any case, to tell you that, look, when there is an unreasonable policy that you can't realize within the time scale, people will exploit it. Some people had a party the other day. In the midst of all this, they said they needed 2 million. They called a big man in the bank. He said, I can't help you, but I have someone who can help. What did they do? They gave them the phone number of the person who can help. That person said, okay, you need 2 million, but you will pay 2.7. They brought out the 2.7. He gave them new notes of 2 million. So, the poor people, we can't even get into the bank.
Exactly.
But somebody sat where he was and they bought 2.7. So if that individual, if that individual can raise 2 million without sweat, so presidential candidates
will not be able to.
Are the ones who will now struggle, they won't find money. The money that they need for election, they have it already. Stop kidding yourself by saying you stand by Emefiele. Why are you even standing by Emefiele? Emefiele is the most incompetent CBN governor in Nigerian history, and I have the facts. Tell me any policy that Emefiele instituted that is a success today. Not even the anchor borrowers.
Monumental failure.
How has he managed our currency? He came into the position when naira was exchanged to the dollar at less than 200 naira. Today, where are we?
740.
He cannot even manage our currency. Look at the inflationary trend.
Double digit.
What is it that he has done you can say he has acquitted himself competently? No. The CBN currently is a very incompetent government agency. Very incompetent.
I have Mukhtar calling us from Kano.
Yes, hello.
Yes, Mukhtar, thank you for staying with us.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yes, go ahead, please, Mukhtar.
I appreciate the good work you are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my contribution, Mr. Jide, is that, you see, Emefiele has the support of Mr. President. Emefiele has the support of Mr. President. And in public policy, under democratic dispensation, no two individuals can take a decision on behalf of 200 million people. It's a very wrong policy. Any policy that does not target the generality of the citizens is not a good policy. So my concern is that Mr. President is not supposed to back Emefiele because He has his support. Why should two people decide on 200 people, the lives of 200 million people? And I blame the Senate and the House of Reps. This is an appointee trying to cause hardship to the people. People who voted them into power.
Yes.
This shouldn't be. There has never been anywhere in this world that this kind of policy has been carried out. Why? What have we done? Is it because we have voted into power? This is the benefit that we are getting from them. So I am appealing to all Nigerians that this will affect APC as the vote. I'm saying it with deep down with my heart. Because people are suffering. And they don't.
Thank you, Mukhtar. Because Aziz Mukhtar is asking, angry. But I think, Mr. President, when they set out for this whole thing, I think he didn't envisage these loopholes.
Well, they may have misled them. Now we have everything in place.
Yes, there is that always that gap between policy and execution, and that was not well taken care of. Because if you are withdrawing and replacing, and what you have done is 1/9 of what you have withdrawn, that you have put out, and you think that the technology that is in place in terms of internet banking will cover it up, then we should be asking the question, how does it cover it up? And like BKO got angry, I'm also angry because of the ignorance of our people. Our people are so ignorant that when they hear certain things, they don't even look at what are the facts on ground.
Yes.
What are the facts? People want to put in their money into the bank. They can't even enter to go and deposit.
Yes.
It's so a colleague called me this morning and said he was very happy that the Supreme Court made that pronouncement because he was in front of the bank trying to deposit 70,000 that he has been taken around and no way to do it. So how do you then, cover these loopholes without giving time? What I think should have been done would have been, as the old currencies are brought into the bank, hold on to it. Be giving out the new ones.
They don't have enough.
But there isn't enough.
Or pending the time they have enough, the old one should still be in circulation. Till you are able to print.
That is why other countries will give like 1 year.
Yes.
During that time, they will be able to face out the...
It should be up to that. It should be up to that.
So
and then all of a sudden, again, we are talking of, we want to stop using MasterCard, Visa card. We want to introduce our own local card. Even when the ones that other people are using successfully, we are unable to use it here because of our infrastructure. So if we bring that one in again, we face out MasterCard, we face out Visa card, where are we going to be? And unfortunately, like we have said, which is still part of what is going to be discussed, our people are now even fighting, we are now even fighting ourselves. Those of us who are suffering. Look at what happened. Look at what happened in Oyo. Look, I was inside Ibadan for over 4 hours, nowhere to take. Nowhere on Friday.
Traffic.
No, they blocked the roads and were damaging cars, beating up people.
People are hungry.
And I asked the guys on the road, do you think that I have the money you are looking for with you?
But the mob is usually unreasonable.
But that's what I'm saying.
That's why we don't want...
that's what I'm saying.
Breakdown of law and order.
That is the part where people ignorance come in.
The Trade Union Congress are blaming the independent marketers for, arbitrarily hiking the price of this petroleum products, as in 400, 500 naira and everything. And now, even to purchase it is a very big racket. It's very difficult.
Oh, I'm happy that labor unions are speaking out, and it effectively shuts up those who are saying, "Oh, it's politicians alone who are complaining." TUC, the Trade Union Congress, has 48 labor unions under it, affiliated to it. So, including the Nigerian Union of Teachers. So they are eminently qualified to speak for the Nigerian workers and speak for the Nigerian people. Do you know how many teachers we have in our country? Now they've come now to tell the president that, look, solve these twin problems. The problem of naira scarcity that has bred galloping inflation, And the problem of fuel scarcity that is inflicting pain on our people. We can't have these two problems at the same time. That says solve this problem within 7 days. Or state chapters should await further directive.
Honestly, to mobilize. And
No,
if you now do that,
see, my problem is we underrate our people. We push our people to the wall.
Honestly.
This thing, this naira redesign, this pain that naira redesign has caused, nobody can do it in France. Before you know it, they've taken over the streets. When you even go down into history, how did Gafar Nimeri lose power? Because they increased price of bread. They chased him away as their president. Price of bread, though. Do you know how many times we've increased price of bread in our country in the last 2 years? 2 years ago, I was buying a loaf of premium bread, 250 naira. Today is 1,200.
Yeah.
We have not revolted, though. But Nigerians should not be pushed harder than they can bear. This is what we want to avoid.
Last year that return tickets, 30,000, 40,000 to Abuja. Today, you can't find anything less than
something. You need about 140, 150 to return.
So, and look at Akure here. Just about 40 minutes or so. 65,000, 70,000. Ilorin, I once paid 90,000 to go to Ilorin from here. It's madness. There is so much pain on our people. And anyone who truly loves the masses should be ready to speak for them. If you speak for your own pocket or for the people who patronize you, you are not a journalist. You are not, it's not your calling. That means you are a bed of passage. You get crashed into the profession because that's not what the profession is about.
All right, we take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Stay with us.
My name is Kashim Shetima. I'm an agricultural economist by training, a banker by profession, and now a public servant by calling. I was the governor of Borno State for 8 years. In the heat of the Boko Haram, we set up an agricultural transformation committee. We crisscrossed the world and invested in the whole agricultural value chain. Lagos is the smallest state in Nigeria in terms of landmass, 3,577 square kilometers. But the largest rice mill in Africa and the third largest in the world is located in Imota in Lagos. That is the power of ideas. Bola Tinubu is an idea whose time has come. Let us vote for Bola Tinubu to be the president of Nigeria come 25th of February. God bless Nigeria.
A day to remember in the history of our dear country, Nigeria. 9 wise men from the north who are governors came together on June 8th, 2022 to stand for equity and fairness in the interest of our nation, Nigeria. They buried personal interest for the unity of our country. They supported the call that power must shift to the south in 2023. They chose a Nigeria agenda. We salute our brothers and sisters in the northern part of this country who, in spite of their vote advantage, continue to propagate the unity of Nigeria by promoting rotational presidency between the north and southern part of the country. Let voters in the north follow the move by these leaders. Vote for power shift to the south. It's the turn of the south to produce the president in 2023. Let's vote Bola Tinubu for president for a renewed hope of better Nigeria. Vote Kashim Shettima as vice president. Vote APC. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
My brother, my sister, do you know that winning an election is not only about getting the majority vote? For that your candidate to be declared winner of the election, he or she must secure 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all states plus the FCT to be president, and 25% of the vote in 2/3 of all local governments of a state to be governor. This is constitutional, and every presidential candidate has had to pass this threshold. Even governors have had to make this mark to get elected in their states. We live in one country with different languages, religions, and ethnic groups. This is why it is not enough to have only northern votes, or southern votes, or eastern votes, or western votes. The only way to get elected as president or governor is by gaining enough support across the country and states. Let us make sure that we know now so that we don't cause an issue tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, with support from the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO.
Hello Nigerians, my name is Kashim Shettima. I am the APC Vice Presidential Candidate. According to Korn Ferry, a global consulting firm, by 2030, there will be a global talent deficit of 85 million. Because of our useful population, our geographic location, and our proficiency in English, Nigeria stands a unique chance of becoming the global talent factory. The building behind us is the Secretariat for the Implementation of the Startup Act. It's the Digital Innovation and Entrepreneurship Center. Of the 7 unicorns in Africa, 5 are in Nigeria, all in Lagos. It wasn't a coincidence, neither was it an accident. It wasn't magic. It is called leadership. It is the Tinubu effect. Vote wisely, vote Bola Tinubu for the president of Nigeria. God bless us.
Welcome back. It's 16 days to the 2023 general election, and this is Journalist Hangout, reaching you live from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Dotun Oladipo with me. The governor of Kaduna State, Nasiru El-Rufai, is someone that is never afraid of tackling burning issues amid the situation arising from scarcity of naira notes. Governor El-Rufai has appealed to citizens to caution against joining protests over shortage of cash and attendant hardship. The governor, who insisted that fifth columnists are behind the crisis to scuttle APC's chances in the 2023 elections, assured residents that legal means are being explored to resolve the crisis. Let's share the story.
I had advanced intelligence that protests will start in Kaduna tomorrow, Wednesday. I'm appealing to all of you not to join the protests or engage in any violence. Let us know who our enemy is. Our enemy is not us. Our enemy are those fifth columnists in the villa working with Godwin Emefiele to bring this country down. And they will fail. This is a deliberate conspiracy against the APC as the ruling party to be blamed for these difficulties. And this is why we came out and revealed what was going on. And the role of the central bank governor as the evil genius behind this conspiracy. He is being used by some elements that want to bring this republic down. They want to bring this democracy down. They want to cause breakdown of law and order. Why are we expected to change 3 trillion in a matter of weeks? And then you print only 300 billion worth of notes, unless you want to create a crisis. Why would you do that? Only 34% of Nigerians have bank accounts. Only 9% of Nigerians used digital platforms for their transactions. You think that you'll move 34% and 9% to 100% overnight?
Wow.
Vintage El-Rufai.
Nasir El-Rufai. Just, it's somebody that, now, it's like a continuation to what we did in the first part, because this is now politics. The All Progressive Congress, within that same party, what's a big contradiction?
Yeah, but it's always been with the party. You know, APC is just, to many of the members, a special purpose vehicle. to actualize their ambition, to take power. The marriage that was conceived to bring about APC involved so many disparate groups. And up to today, you cannot say that they are one. You cannot say that they are one. And every election cycle, we see signs of this unease within the party. When we start analyzing, hopefully for the end of the week, when we start analyzing what will happen in the states, you will see that the crisis in the APC will play a big part in ensuring that the party doesn't win some states. So it's not a new thing for people to be in the same party and they are pulling in different directions. But there are those, according to him, who want hardship inflicted on our people so that the ruling party can be blamed. But it's not the first time. We saw it even when President Buhari was military head of state. They did it to him. They did it to him. When they scattered Awo's library, soldiers stormed Awo's house, scattered his library. And you know what that means? Our supporters, people of the Southwest, will feel that their leader had been disgraced, their leader had been dishonored. They can't like that military regime that made that to happen. And when we interviewed Buhari in his house in Kaduna, he told us that he never sent anybody to go to Awo's house. The people wanted to take over government were the people trying to make people hate Buhari by carrying out errands that Buhari never sent them. And that's why I'm surprised that a president who went through that as a military ruler should know today, should know by now what fifth columnist can do. And he should be able to take, appropriate steps. People will come to you as a president, lie to you that, oh, there is naira everywhere and all that. The truth is not always evident in the manner that people relate what they think are facts. Some people are so smooth in the way they talk, but it doesn't mean that what they are saying is the truth. It doesn't mean that what they are saying is true. So the president should be able to say, and for a president too, who came from northern Nigeria, he knows that in a lot of these communities there are no banks. Out of our 774 local governments, more than 300 local governments do not have banks. So how do you deal with the situation? The governor said, work with us. There are communities where we can take bullion vans to. And then get the farmers and other poor people, let them come and let's exchange their money for them. It's not where you truly love the people. It shouldn't be something difficult to do. Because they don't have banks. And they are scared to travel with their hard-earned money, traveling for up to 2 hours to get to the nearest bank. Even when you assume that everybody must deposit their money in their accounts, you are imagining that every Nigerian has bank accounts. When you said, okay, it is only through ATMs that you will be dispensing money, they should not give people new notes through the across the counter. You fail to realize that there are no more than 20,000 ATM galleries in our country. What is the meaning of this? When you now saw that system, that policy had failed, you then said, okay, from now on, you can give people 20,000 naira across the country. Are you the owner of their money? That you are setting this kind of limits that they cannot, they must not give people more than 20,000. And some are even giving people, in spite of that, they are giving people 1,000.
1,000.
I became skeptical about this policy when the Minister of Finance was even saying that she's not aware of the whole thing, and it was like a kind of alliance between the CBN governor and Mr. President, and Mr. President is saying everything Emefiele is doing.
He
has my backing and every endorsement. Now the ripple effects, days after now. At least Mr. President should have people to give him feedback that all is not well
Yes.
across the country.
If he asks, we will give him.
Well, that's if
they are not telling you. Mr. President should hear now.
If the right people are speaking with him, at least he met with some governors some days back, and those ones gave him the true picture. Because if they are the ones who have gone to court now, 3 of them on behalf of others, the APC governors who met with them, then that's a picture that has been painted. But thinking that it is possible to ride roughshod over people on this matter is going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. But my major concern, like Governor El-Rufai said, is that, and which I mentioned earlier, we who are affected by these policies are the ones who are now fighting ourselves, going to the streets, getting killed over what we have no control over. If you watch some of the video clips from Abeokuta yesterday, you see them, someone who has a canopy under which he or she was doing his or her business. The thing was, somebody was saying, Ewudanu, Ebaje, meaning damage it.
Inflicting pains on ourselves.
There's no action.
Poor people.
You know, and that's the issue of El-Rufai is my major concern. Because we may end up...
You don't need this violence.
We don't need it. We may end up like what happened during NSAS that had good intention, but taken over by some people. What we should do is to be intentional about how we approach issues. We shouldn't be going to banks, burning banks, beating up staff. We have among those people who
people are just taking out their frustration.
Taking out their frustration on other people, on people who are even their own brothers and sisters. For instance, you have a bank in Ikorodu, a small community. You must have some people who stay in that community who are working there.
You know them physically.
You know them. So why are we inflicting pains on ourselves? Why don't we tackle the issue?
But you see, the thing is, that's why you shouldn't push people
to the wall
to resort to violence, because it doesn't pay anybody
at all.
You saw when it happened in the US too.
Yes.
People were looting department stores and all that. This is the way of the mob. Because why is it called the mob? Nobody's in charge.
It becomes unreasonable.
Nobody can stand in front of them and say, oh yeah, everyone, what is stop? No, they won't listen. Everybody is just going in some direction, destroying what they can lay his hands on. That's the thing. So, and that's why efforts must be made to end this suffering, this madness. Because a situation in which somebody has so much money in the bank and his children are starving, he can't find money to feed his children, it's madness.
It is, really.
I don't know how else someone can describe it. There's so much money.
This is Abeokuta yesterday now.
Yes. We just don't want
very peaceful town. Abeokuta.
Yeah, of course.
Very peaceful.
We don't want people, this thing to degenerate. You see, people, when people are pushed to the wall, they take the law into their hands.
That's what happened.
No.
That's what
and it can even lead to
frustration,
bloodshed.
Yes.
We don't want to see that. I'm happy that the boy who was shot, the boy is alive. The police have confirmed. They said it was just like he had 20% chance of surviving when they got to him, when they brought him to the hospital. And they gave him 6 pints of blood. Can imagine how much blood that boy had lost. They gave him 6 pints of blood, and now he's fairly stable. We pray that the boy will fully recover, because we don't need this. The poor people in our country, they've seen enough. They've borne so much already.
Inflation rate.
They sacrifice a lot. A lot.
Unemployment rate, 33%.
That's why when you speak of
130 million poor people
buying bread. So
yes,
2 years back for
250,
and then you are buying it for
and
salary has not changed.
It has not
changed. It's overtaking the salary, the amount in your
but
hand.
people are still enduring.
You find people earning as much as 1.5, 2 million naira a month, leaving the country.
Yes,
and
they want to live in a better place where things work. Nobody could have imagined, even in December, that things would be this bad. That people who earn over 1 million a month will be begging their colleagues for 5,000.
Honestly.
Is that bad? 5,000 naira, please, can you give me 5,000? Is that bad for our people? Children want to go to school, no money to give them to go to school. You know? And in this, somebody was on the queue and he dropped dead.
All right, we'll take this last break. When we come back, we'll discuss more. Stay with us.
Igbo kwenu, oge anyị ji atụ akwụkwọ erugo, gba mbọ tụnyere Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu eze ọgbara dike ọgụ nke ala oko ka o wee bụrụ anyị president ma onye nke ịbụọ ya Senator Kashim Shettima wee bụrụ vice president n'ala anyị bụ Nigeria. O nyere ụmụ Igbo ikikere ka ha wee nwee ọganiru n'ala Lagos. O mekwara ka ala Lagos bụrụ ebe nabatara ụmụ Igbo. Nke a mere Tinubu eyi ka nwanne. O nyere ya ike ime Lagos steeti ihe ọpụta. Ọ gaghị anyịkwa ya ike ime Nigeria ka ọ bụrụ obodo eji ama atụ ka ụmụ Igbo jikọọ aka tinye Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu nke APC ka o wee bụrụ anyị onye isi nke ala Nigeria. Ozi a site n'aka Ọzọ Obinna Francis Ogwegbu Ojele Igbo Ijele nke Igbo Arise for Tinubu Shettima.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, through Mr. President's special intervention funds and other improved funding options, the police force have upscaled logistics and operational capacity by procurement and deployment of the following: purpose-built operational vehicles, including armored personnel carriers, that is APCs, patrol vans, and water cannons, among others. You have seen the pictures of some of these vehicles that we have just shown. Similarly, additional 20,000 bulletproof vests, ballistic helmets, and other operational materials were procured by the Ministry of Police Affairs and handed over to the police force.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Hello Nigerians, my name is Kashim Shettima. I'm the APC Vice Presidential candidate. Here we have 1,776 orphans, vulnerable orphan girls from Northern Borno, all of them victims of Boko Haram, our housed and educated, getting the best that the nation has on offer. Look at this edifice. It's about one of the best schools in the nation. And this has been replicated along the length and breadth of Borno and further sustained by Governor Babagana Umara Sulum. What us into office, we promise you such edifices will be replicated across the length and breadth of this nation. Vote wisely, vote Bola Tinubu for the presidency of Nigeria come February 25th.
A day to remember in the history of our dear country, Nigeria. 9 wise men from the north who were governors came together on June 8th, 2022 to stand for equity and fairness in the interest of our nation, Nigeria. They buried personal interest for the unity of our country. They supported the call that power must shift to the south in 2023. They chose a Nigeria agenda. We salute our brothers and sisters in the northern part of this country who, in spite of their vote advantage, continue to propagate the unity of Nigeria by promoting rotational presidency between the north and southern part of the country. Let voters in the north follow the move by these leaders. Vote for power shift to the south. It's the turn of the south to produce the president in 2023. Let's vote Bola Tinubu for president for a renewed hope of better Nigeria. Vote Kashim Shettima as vice president. Vote APC. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Welcome back. So, at the end of the day, Saturday, what will be the fate? Mr. President is asking us to asked the governors to give him 7 days, and the deadline falls on that same day, this Saturday. But the Supreme Court, what is the implication of this judgment?
Well, we know that That's the highest court of the land. Whatever interpretation anybody wants to give to it, it's a ruling. And the only way to safeguard our democracy is for us to respect the rule of law. Because if you say you are going to work against what the Supreme Court has pronounced, then it means what we are resorting to is just anarchy. That's what we are. And if the president has said he's going to resolve this issue, and that resolution is not going to, has not come in the form of more money being available at the ATMs and over the counter inside the banks, the only other resolution that can come is to suspend that policy. That is my own honest opinion. That's the only other resolution. Because we don't have more money now. Because that was what a lot of people thought, that since the president promised the resolution, there will be more cash flowing around. But today is Wednesday.
The banking halls are still closed?
But banks are even shutting down more.
Yes.
They are shutting down more.
They don't have enough.
So what is the point?
And they're afraid.
Yes, what is the point of allowing your staff to come to work when they are likely to be attacked?
Yes.
Because they are not doing anything. So the only resolution that can be there now, in my own opinion, is that the president is going to put this policy on hold.
That if the president,
that's the only thing I can
the
say.
best thing for the president to retain his honor is to push this policy.
Does he have a choice after the Supreme Court ruling?
No. He also, the two can go simultaneously. You know, the Supreme Court is a legal intervention.
Yeah.
The president has promised to intervene. He said, give me time. What I'm saying is that, given the suffering that our people are going through, the best that the president can say is that, at this time, we put this thing in abeyance. That's if we cannot do anything that will appear to be against what the Supreme Court has done. He can't do it.
That's
for his own honor, for his own good name. Because we advise him finish strongly. It's his choice. It's his choice. So he must not be seen to be against the Nigerian people. Anything that is inflicting pain on our people, the president must not be seen to be a promoter of such a thing.
Yeah.
He has a choice to say, okay, at this time, I have seen that in terms of the implementation of this thing, we have all kinds of problems. Gentlemen, we are putting this thing on hold for now.
All right. Well, before we go, we'd like to congratulate Joe Ajero just emerged as the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress.
Yes. Very seamless transition.
Our friend.
Very seamless transition, you know, from Ayuba Waba.
Yes.
to Joe
Ajero. Congratulations.
Joe is a more combative.
Very radical.
I know that he will have his hands full.
Congratulations.
But he's coming in at a very difficult time.
Yes.
But I trust that the little man will rise to the occasion.
He's always wanted it.
Yes.
But I think that now is the time for the NLC to also be proactive in terms of helping the economy. It is not just by going on strike.
All right. Dr. Oladipo, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your intervention. And that's it on Journalistic Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Join us this Sunday for Journalistic Hangout on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Osubakon. See you tomorrow.
Miss a moment. Instant breaking news from all over the globe. Live streaming of your favorite programs delivered directly to you. Watch anytime from anywhere on your mobile or smart devices. Download the TVC News app today. Available on Google Play and Apple Store.
In the month of February, 4th of February is World Cancer Day. 6th of February is International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation, while 11th of February is dedicated to women and girls in science. On the 12th of February, it's International Day against the use of child soldiers, also known as Red Hand Day. On the 20th, it's World Day of Social Justice. By the 24th, it will be 1 year since the Russia-Ukraine war broke out. Stay tuned to TVC News as we bring you in-depth reports and analysis of these events.
It's the most visited state in Africa. As the 5th largest economy on the continent, covering Lagos and its government is no mean feat. It's a busy beat. We go beyond the cutting of tapes to traveling far into the deep.
I want to thank the Lagos state government for the healthcare facility.
To bring stories that cut across all spectrums.
A greater Lagos shall be ours.
Stories that define our collective well-being as Lagosians. I'm Adedoja Salam Adeniyi. I live in Lagos, inside Lagos.
TVC News reporter Ola Wakon wins TV Production of the Year award at the 30th anniversary of the Apex Media Award in Nigeria, the Nigeria Media Merit Award, NMMA 2022.
And the winner is Olaiwola Awakon, TVC.
Congratulations.
Ola